So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Jeannie Sparks, SBCAN's Associate Director. Thank you for coming together as we're celebrating Santa Barbara County Action Network's 20th anniversary. We're very excited about that. Isn't that great? Yay! We want to give a special thank you to Meagan Harmon for being our guest speaker, and our co-president Dick Flax will introduce her in a few minutes. But first, I'm going to introduce some housekeeping. Most of you have been on these Zoom meetings, but not everybody has used the raise hand function. So I'm going to talk about that. First of all, we'd like everyone to keep their microphones muted until they're called on to speak. Speakers will need to unmute themselves at the right time. We're going to take questions and comments at different points in the meeting. And during those times, we'll ask you to use the raise hand function on the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And if you haven't used it before, if you click on the reaction button that's on the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a bar that says raise hand. And when you click on that raise hand, like I just did, it'll put a little raised hand up in your left corner of your screen. It'll also move you to our upper left-hand corner. And everyone who does that will be put in line that way. So we can call on the leftmost person first. So you'd be called in the order that you've clicked to raise your hand. So most of you know that, but not everyone. And then to lower your hand after you've made your comment or question, just go back to reactions, click lower hand, it goes away. And then the next person to have raised their hand will go into the upper left-hand corner. So that'll help us to call on you in order. If you just raise your hand, otherwise we may or may not see it. So it really helps us if you use that raise hand function. So we can try to call on people in order. So now I would like to introduce our South County Co-President, Dick Flax, and he's going to introduce our guest speaker. Take it away, Dick.
Well, thanks, and hi, everybody. It's great to have everybody here. A membership meeting, it really benefits from having members attend and fulfills our desire to have engaged with the many people who have signed up. What we've had this tradition for a number of years now of inviting an elected official from the county domain who has contributed to the kind of values and causes that we have been trying to work for. And Meagan Harmon is an exemplary.
I'm sure because of Meagan.
Someone's not muted, please be. Meagan exemplifies that kind of elected official. She's been a member of the council, recently elected for a full term, which in this case, I believe is 5 years because of the redistricting glitches that have happened or changes. But she's also equally and excitingly a member of the Coastal Commission. She represents this area as an elected official on that body. And that's extraordinary. And that means that she's not only a city of Santa Barbara elected, but she really is representing this entire region, this entire county in a way, and the South Coast on that body. And that's maybe one of the things she's going to try to let us in on. I think what we hope for her is some picture of the kinds of issues she's dealing with and the kind of hopes, expectations, and things she wants us to urge us to be engaged with in particular. So Meagan, welcome. Sometimes we've had you in roundtables and so forth with the brand new baby. That's a very important part of her story, of course. But that baby is safely in another place at home. Meagan, take it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dick, for that introduction and everyone for having me. It's so great to be here. I have to say, as I saw all of you joining this meeting, it feels so good to be amongst friends, amongst like-minded folks who are committed to our shared values. And I think I just have to start by acknowledging what I know all of you already know because you're here, And that's that it's as important as it's ever been for us to come together in spaces like this. We've got the unjust, horrifying war in Ukraine. We have got incredible growing pressures on working families here at home, not to mention the challenges that are still facing us due to COVID. We've got a divided Congress here in the city of Santa Barbara. We have a new political landscape we're dealing with at the council. There's a lot going on. So it is more important, or as important as it ever has been for us to be here, to be connected, to be having these kinds of conversations about what we can move forward effectively, because it's really only if we harness the power of our collective voice that we'll be able to have the kind of impact that we want and the kind of impact that we absolutely have to have here in South County now more than ever. And you know, we're certainly going to spend a lot of time talking about the future today, but I would be remiss if I didn't take just a couple of minutes to talk about specifically in the last year, the big wins that we've had both in the city of Santa Barbara and at the Coastal Commission that I can say, I think without any hyperbole, really are due to the advocacy of SBCAN, really due to the work that all of you did, your roundtables, your comments, your consistent engagement with elected officials over many topics. But there's a couple things that I want to highlight just really as a thank you from me to you for the incredible amount of work you put in. And first, I'm gonna start with Santa Barbara City Council. The renewed focus on affordable housing, I think, is directly tied to the advocacy that you all have done with our city council. We're nowhere near done with that conversation. You know, I see Linda on here, Vijaya, everyone, Rob is here, folks that are as aware, more aware than I am of the many, many miles we have left to go. But wow, just in the last year, we have made great strides in terms of centering housing justice as a key part of anything and everything that we do on the Santa Barbara City Council. And a huge part of that is the continuous engagement. Whether or not we have an agenda item at the council, you all are having that conversation in your roundtables, making comments at public comment, but keep it at the forefront of our minds. And that is to your credit. And that's a huge win. And economic justice. I have two words for all of you: hero pay. That would not have happened in the city of Santa Barbara without SBCAN. So I truly, my gratitude. It absolutely would not. I can say that unequivocally. For those that may not be familiar with it, our hero pay ordinance was to give our frontline grocery and retail workers an extra $5 an hour for 60 days as recognition of the incredible work that they did to keep our community running during COVID. Was it enough? Absolutely not. We've got to do way more, but it was a huge win. And to me, it was representative of so much more than just that particular policy, because for the first time in my, I guess now 3 years on council, we were centering economic justice and explicitly articulating the importance of economic justice as a city policy effort. And to that end, we've really seen the implications of the work that you all did to get this passed longer term. Recently, we had a process to allocate our ARPA funds. And you may have seen this in the paper, but get this, city staff came to us and suggested that we allocate $1.5 million to hero pay for our city employees. I am telling you that would not have happened without the advocacy of SBCAN for our frontline grocery and retail workers some 6 months before. And I'm proud to say that with continued advocacy alongside all of you, we inched that number up and we inched that number up and we inched that number up, and we ended at $2.5 million going to city workers. And that's the folks that keep our water clean, they keep our streets cleared, they keep us safe. And that was a huge deal. And it's really the first time that I'm seeing that kind of recognition of the importance of economic justice in the city of Santa Barbara in the last couple of years anyway. And so I wanted to just take this opportunity really to point out that we have these sort of concrete, identifiable policy wins, but so much of what you do have much broader implications over the long term for how we think about policy as a city council, and as individual policymakers ourselves. So I had to start with that. Thank you. And then on the Coastal Commission side, so many of you were so supportive of my effort to get that appointment. So I credit that to all of you as well. My sincere thanks. I know there were lots of letters, lots of communications going out, and I truly appreciate it. And I want to highlight a couple of things that may have some countywide importance to all of you. I've been on the Coastal Commission about 10 months now, which is very funny because I found out I got appointed right about the time I found out I was pregnant with my son, I think. So now it's like a little bit, my mind is kind of blown thinking here we are and he's at home crying right now. But we had a couple of really important things that I think you guys might think are cool. I think is really important, particularly the allocation of significant grants to help our communities adapt and plan for resiliency efforts. Santa Maria got a large grant, Santa Barbara's gotten a ton of money, the city of Carpinteria's got a lot of money, and I have to say one of my absolute favorite items to vote on at the Coastal Commission so far was a grant that went to the Cabrillo High School Aquarium in Lompoc. Those of you that know the aquarium, it actually opened while I was in high school at Cabrillo. And it was just such an amazing full circle moment. I remember my senior year, I took marine bio. We spent a ton of time in that aquarium. It was amazing. And then to vote on funding for it from the California Coastal Commission just felt like such a full circle moment for me, and was extremely gratifying, something I'm very proud of, to be able to stand up on the state level and say, heck yeah, we're going to get this money to Lompoc and we're going to get it to this aquarium, because you never know what a Lompoc kid is going to do. And I'm proof of that. So I just have to give that shout out to Lompoc. Another thing I want to point out that's happened over the last year, and this will kind of help me transition into what we should be thinking about for the future. I'm talking fast because I want to leave time for questions here, but bear with me. So Coastal Commission, we also, following the incredible leadership of Senator Monique Limon, moved finally to open Hollister Ranch to access. I realize that's controversial and folks have a lot of strong feelings about it, but it is a California constitutional right that we all have access to our beaches. And this is one of the last remaining beaches in the state to which the public cannot visit. And that really is in direct contravention to the Coastal Act. And so Senator Limon was incredibly courageous in the work that she's done at the legislature to move forward recognition that we must have access to this. And it was another proud moment for me to be on the Coastal Commission and to vote in favor of opening up these beaches for our community. I mean, having grown up 20 minutes, I grew up in Lompoc, as you know, 20 minutes from Hollister, never having seen those beaches and never having even considered visiting them as a possibility was really striking for me, and another incredible moment to be part of moving forward that conversation. You may have heard that we recently got news at our last meeting that the environmental impact report that is a prerequisite for opening up access to the Hollister Ranch beaches is going to take, unfortunately, 18 months to complete. So, we were all kind of riding high when we took that vote, and our bubble was popped a little bit when we got the information about the EIR. But as I said at that meeting, and as I think is true, it is such an incredible resource that we have to make sure that we open it up in a way that will preserve what is so unique about it. And that is apparently some of the most pristine, incredible beaches left on the state's coastline. We wouldn't know because we haven't seen it, but we've got the experts out there. They're going to make sure we do it in a way that protects our natural environment. And I put that out there because I'm hoping that you'll all stay engaged. 18 months is a long time. We had sort of a moment of intensity related to Hollister Ranch where we all came together and said, we got to open it up, but we can't take the pressure off There's a lot of folks that would like it to remain private and like it to remain closed off to the general public. And we've got to make sure that we keep our eyes on it, especially those of us that live in this community and understand how important it is that everyone have access, because the coastline is ours. It is not any individuals. It is not for the wealthy. It's ours. And by the way, the law says that it's ours. So we got to make sure that we stay on top of that. So, okay, I promised Dick that I would talk about what's forward, what's ahead, instead of just talking about what's behind. So I'm going to take a couple more minutes, if that's okay, before I open it up for questions, because there's a few things that I want you all to be aware of. Santa Barbara City Council, as I alluded to earlier, there's been a change in leadership. We have a new mayor, and it is a bit of a different political landscape than we've seen over the last few years. I think there's an incredible amount of opportunity to do good work. There are many areas in which I think there's still great agreement, whether we're talking about good governance, dealing with some of our structural deficits in our budget. They're not exactly the most exciting, like you're not going to hear me on here saying, yes, budgetary deficit, we're dealing with pensions or whatever, the way that I'm shouting about here, okay, but it's incredibly important to the long-term functioning of our government. And the more we can deal with that now, when there's the will to do that, the more money we'll have to implement these programs down the road. So those are some areas that I think you'll see a lot of focus, and that will require activism on our part to make sure that we don't deal with our unfunded liabilities on the backs of people, on the backs of our employees, to make sure that we're not taking care of these liabilities by cutting services to those who most need them in the city of Santa Barbara. So while there is, I think, a united front about the need to manage some of these issues that we're facing as a city, there is an incredible opportunity for activists to come to us and make sure that you're heard about how you want us to deal with them. And to make sure we deal with them in a way that's equitable and that's really centering those that need our care the most, our employees, our folks who are traditionally kept out of a lot of privileges afforded to many others in our city. So with that said, there's a couple of other specific things in the city. Civilian oversight of police, that's coming up. That will require a huge amount of engagement and activism. Rent stabilization, that is an ongoing conversation, most of it initiated by folks on this call. We're also, well, and I will say those two issues in particular, I think, whether you're from Lompoc or Santa Maria or Buellton, have really broad implications, because if we can get good programs going in the city of Santa Barbara, I think there's a lot of potential to go to other jurisdictions and say, you have an issue with rising rents too. You may have an issue with not having an area for police-related complaints to be brought. Look, we have this model, it's working well. Let's implement it in Lompoc. Let's implement it at the county. So, the more that we can get these systems right in the city of Santa Barbara, I think the better chance we have at implementing them across the county and really sort of building a united county that cares for its people in a way that we know that it should. Last thing, city of Santa Barbara, we're also really focused on the State Street Promenade. And that's an area, economic development, where we're gonna need all of you to keep us focused on making sure that it's something that works for everyone, that everyone feels welcome, that we keep in mind our Indigenous neighbors and the land on which we are building this promenade. I mean, there's a lot that's going into it. How do we get affordable housing on the State Street Promenade? So there's a lot for you all to be engaged in that area as well. And I hope that you will be, because it's very easy when we're talking about economic development to get siloed and we're talking only about the business and that's it. But there's a lot more that's going on there. I'm going to switch gears very quickly because I see Dick's, he's like, wrap it up, Megan, to talk about the Coastal Commission. And I want to just spend 2 more minutes on this because there's a couple of big things. First, what are we going to be talking about in the year to come? Housing, housing, housing. And that's a funny thing because technically housing is not under the purview of the Coastal Act, but so much of what we do has implications for housing that I want you all to be aware of it. In particular, the Coastal Commission approves, denies, or conditions coastal jurisdictions' policies on short-term rentals. This is incredibly important because so much of what we do in coastal cities around housing is implicated by the units that are used illegally or legally for short-term rentals. As you know, under the Coastal Act, we are required to allow access through low-cost visitor accommodations. So the Coastal Commission is more favorable to short-term rentals than some might like us to. But month after month after month, we approve different cities, different jurisdictions, short-term rental ordinances. And in that way, we're building a short-term rental policy, sometimes without even knowing it. So I would implore all of you, loath as I am to ask you to follow yet another set of meetings, to try to keep your eye on what the Coastal Commission is doing related to these various jurisdictions' short-term rental ordinance. Because before you know it, we'll have approved enough that there will be a policy on short-term rentals in the coastal zone. And sometimes, and I'm on the Coastal Commission now, so I'm guilty of it too, we approve things in a little bit of a vacuum, and all of a sudden we've developed a policy. So it may look like it doesn't impact us here in Santa Barbara County when we're approving a short-term rental ordinance in Half Moon Bay, but it does, because what we decide there will be mapped onto what we try to do here in the city of Santa Barbara or in the county of Santa Barbara. So it's really important to try to stay engaged on those issues. Similarly, ADU ordinances also in the coastal zone get approved by the Coastal Commission, and it's the same thing. It's the layering. All of a sudden, there's a policy. And if we're late to the game at the city or county of Santa Barbara applying for approval, we're going to be subject to all of the decisions that had been made before we brought our ordinance to the table. And then finally, I think the thing that you all probably want to hear about is the Munger Dorm project. I'll be very brief on this and can answer any specific questions you might have, but the Coastal Commission is really the last and only stop for approval of what would be the Munger Dorm. The long-range development plan was approved by the Coastal Commission. The Coastal Commission is the body that's charged with approving anything or disproving, I guess, anything that is not in conformance with that long-range development plan. The Munger Dorm proposal is taller than would be allowed under the LRDP. So it will have to come to the Coastal Commission. And I got to tell you this, to the extent that you all are interested in participating in this conversation, particularly about Munger Dorm, when and if it comes to Coastal, it's imperative that you make public comment, because I'm the only commissioner from this area. I'm the only commissioner who knows anything more than what was in the LA Times did a small story on it. So it really requires us to get engaged and get activated, whether we support it or oppose it, to make sure that commissioners are aware that there's a lot of local energy around this, and so that they get the full picture when the time comes. I don't know when that time will be. I will make sure that I communicate with all of you when I have a timeline. Right now, it's not looking like anytime soon, but it will probably be in the next year if it comes before us. And with all, this is what happens when I don't have notes, you guys, I just go on forever, but I will stop there. And if there's anything anyone wants to hear about, or I'm happy to answer questions, or you can always call or email me offline as well.
So thank you so much, Meagan, and I think we're all here to have you go on and on if possible. I can't really, because I'm working on my phone right now. Can you handle the hands that are raised?
Sure. I see Larry, his hand is up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Meagan. I have a kind of short question regarding the Coastal Commission and the appeal process for the ExxonMobil trucking project. I understand it is, it passed, it failed. The trucking project failed 3-2 in the Board of Supervisors. And they do, I understand that there is either a approval process that the trucking project has at the Coastal Commission, or it can appeal the county's decision to the Trucking Commission. I'm not sure. And what's the status of that?
I don't know 100% which it is. I think, Dick, you might need to mute yourself. So I'm getting some feedback. I don't know if you guys are.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's hard when you're on the phone. Yeah, I think that it's probably an appealable project based on what I read in the paper. I have not heard that it's been appealed yet. So, of course, anything's possible, but they don't have too long of a time. That happened a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. They probably have another 2 weeks in which to file their appeal. And then it would come forward, but I can't imagine that it would find a very generous reception at the commission, but we'll see. All right, and I'm seeing some questions in the chat. Oh, thank you for Lee saying you wanted to hear me. Thank you, I appreciate that. The boundaries of the Coastal Commission. Well, they kind of go, they're a little wonky in places, but in general, they're up to 5 miles from the coast inland. So in our city in particular, that encompasses, quite a lot of area, but it's the entire coast. So it's pretty cool. We do meetings all over the state, and it's an opportunity to really learn about different coastal areas, but it goes in 5 miles. And that actually reminds me, Linda, of something else that I wanted to draw your attention to. North County folks might be particularly interested in this. In the next year, I think we're going to have quite a few conversations about offshore wind, particularly relevant off of Vandenberg. Most of the offshore wind turbines will be in federal waters, of course, but what they need to get that energy from offshore onshore will be in the purview of the Coastal Commission to the extent that it's not on the Space Force base and is in those 5 miles. So I think that's something to be aware of. We've definitely been having those conversations in Morro Bay, dealing with the fishermen who are very interested in how this will affect their livelihood, and what development looks like when we're trying to balance our need for clean, renewable energy with protecting our coastline. And that's a balance that we're constantly trying to strike at Coastal Commission, and will be a big topic of conversation moving forward in the next year. All right, I think that's it. Oh, Pam.
Hi, thank you, Megan. This is just, I'm in Santa Maria, so I'm not as familiar with you, but I love your energy and knowledge, and what you've called us to do is great. I had a question about the dunes. Again, not in Santa Barbara County, but just following back and forth from one court case to another. I don't know where we are at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. That is the bane of our existence on the Coastal Commission, I have to tell you. And the vote was taken the month before I was appointed was when they had the big vote. So I didn't have the opportunity to vote on it. And unfortunately now we are in the middle of litigation. So I am somewhat limited in what I can say for that reason. But yeah, the commission voted unanimously and has since reaffirmed, and I've been able to be part of that reaffirmation of our need to transition that community away from its focus and basis on an activity that is in such contravention to the Coastal Act and towards something that is more sustainable, environmentally friendly, and will preserve the coast, which is really what our mandate is. And I have to say, the fact that it took us so long to make that decision is really evidence, I think, of just people playing political hot potato with something they didn't want to deal with for too long. And, we're in a lot of this hot water because people are saying, well, you let us do it for 20, 30 years. Why is it illegal all of a sudden? And my response is, it's not illegal all of a sudden. It's always been illegal under the Coastal Act. What we've been missing is the political courage to actually act on what we know is wrong under the Coastal Act. And so, very, very proud of my colleagues for the work they did. And by the way, I'm not at all unaware of the implications for the community members there. There are serious economic implications and cultural implications. And I think it's in some ways elitist to try to pretend that those implications are not real and that they can be ignored. So I'm very grateful that the Coastal Commission and Coastal Commission staff in particular has recognized the illegality of that activity, while also recognizing the necessity of transitioning the community effectively, so that everyone can win, be healthy, because it had the potential to be really devastating for a lot of people. And I think that's where you see so much of the anger and the litigiousness is just like, what are we gonna do? This is all we've had for 40 years, and you're gonna tell us to stop tomorrow. We can't evolve that quickly. And so it really, folks have gone a long way on staff to try to move forward. Now you'll go out to the dunes now and people are still driving, I have to tell you. So you haven't seen a change yet. A big part of that is due to some stays that have been put in place as the decisions are working their way through the court system. And we knew that was going to happen. It happened 20 years ago. It's happening now. But I think the difference is a real commitment to trying to transition those communities. And that's what was missing before. And we have that now.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So I think we should be very grateful that Meagan was able to give us some time, and baby Jack was patient while that's happening.
I know, I'm like, don't make me leave. I have to go home.
And I see Rob Fredericks here. There are various hands up. Is that just as approval or as questions? We don't have time for more questions. I'll just say that I have been here for 50 years. I don't think I've met a public elected person who is more accessible to the kinds of concerns that we have and to responding to people. She probably is open to all sides because she seems to have this enormous energy and her grasp of these issues. And this is working on several levels of government all at once while having a baby. Thank you, Meagan Harmon.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
If you should want to stick around, that would be lovely, but we're going to go forward. So Jeannie, are you the MC here, or the moderator, or do I just?
Yes, I am. And we'd like to go into the next section, which is back to you to give us some history on SBCAN. Why was it founded and when? And just give us a little update about that.
Well, of course, 20 years is a long thing, so I won't really go through the history, but why was it founded is a very good question, because it was founded 20 years ago at a time when people in the North County, progressives and environmentally concerned people, were saying we're isolated, we need more of a capacity to have a voice in county politics and in our communities in the North. And so a bunch of people, most of whom were very active in leadership roles throughout the county, got together and decided to form what became the Santa Barbara County Action Network. And I like to say that we had two bridges that we wanted to build. One was a bridge between South and North County, and to enable resources and capacity to flow to the North. And you can make your own judgment up there, but I have a sense that much has been accomplished along that line, that people feel more empowered, less isolated, and some of that we would take some credit for in terms of the work that we were trying to promote. The second bridge is between environmental and social justice movements and values. Those bridges are often, that bridge has to constantly be reinforced and expanded. But I believe just from looking at the degree of the range of things that SBCAN has been involved in, shows that we've built some of that bridge that's necessary. We I would say I'm the member of the board who's been there from the beginning. I don't think we've had a board that is more diverse in terms of many meanings of diversity, cultural and ethnic diversity, racial diversity, um, geographic diversity, age diversity. And it's a group of people. It's exciting to come to board meetings because um, everyone on the board has a leadership role somewhere. And they're part of what we do is just hear what's going on in different sectors of the county and in different sectors of the social movement domain. And the second thing is that we have had a staff that's been excellent for Jeannie and Ken are a team. The fact that they live in Santa Maria, they live in the North County, has enabled the interests and concerns and issues and voices from that part of the county to be foregrounded all of these years. But now Nadia, who you will meet shortly, has joined the staff, and almost about a year. And I would say she's ramped up our activity throughout the county. She represents us, she helps us organize, she calls attention to many things that are happening and putting them on our agenda. She seems to know what to do better than any of us, and that's remarkable because she's slightly younger. And so I'm excited about the future of SBCAN because we have a good board, we have a good team of people, and the battles that we have are significant. And I would just say, the last thing I want to say is about the history. We have only worked effectively in coalition with others. There's very little that SBCAN or any organization now in the domain of justice and environmental preservation can do individually, but the coalition building has been very effective. Just look at what happened with the Exxon trucking proposal. I don't know, hundreds of organizations really were involved in that, or the redistricting efforts that recently happened. And the Sun Coalition has been crucial for a decade now in housing issues facing UCSB's failure to deliver on promises about housing. We're building an economic justice coalition with unions in the South Coast on housing issues. I'm more excited than I've ever been about what we are doing in the face of a world that may not let us survive. And take it back, Jeannie.
I better unmute. Thank you very much. We're going to give updates from the staff now. And so our executive director, Ken Huff, will start us out.
Thanks, Jeannie, and thanks, Dick. And Dick, thanks for your leadership over these 20 years. This organization was founded in your living room. You're in Mickey's living room. And it's been great. I've been on the board, as executive director for the second half of that 20 years. And I really appreciate all of our members and donors who make our work possible, and the volunteers and roundtable participants who bring our goals to fruition. And I thank Meagan for presenting to us today. That was great. And for your participation in our roundtables, which has been at least 3 times. And that's always been great. Our year-end newsletter detailed many of the successes that we've had over the years. And I was going to spend 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes talking about the oily stuff that we have, the successes that we've had over the years. And Dick just mentioned the final one. I'm not going to go through it because it's in the newsletter. And I have an ulterior motive because I want to hurry up and get to the election of our board members, which is something we have to do in this meeting. And before people leave, and I still have 28 people here, and at least 22 of you are members, and I need 20 members to vote for this slate. So hang on, I'm not gonna go through the oily stuff. I'm gonna ask Jeannie to give us a quick update on other environmental topics where we're working on and what we've had success with. Jeannie.
Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna shorten what I was gonna say too, just to say that last year we supported the campaign that stopped the development of luxury homes in the San Marcos foothills and preserved them. And we also last year advocated for the phasing out of the off-highway vehicles in Guadalupe Nipomo Dunes, as Meagan talked about, to protect the sensitive habitat there and the air quality. And for more than 10 years, we've been involved in opposing annexation of prime ag land in Lompoc, or just outside of Lompoc, the Bailey Avenue corridor. And we've been involved with a number of issues over the years, so we're not going to get into all of them, but we are very excited to announce that next month we're starting a new initiative with Creeklands Conservation and CAUSE and some other groups to work on Santa Maria Valley watershed issues and to help improve the watershed here in the Santa Maria Valley. So really exciting information on that. We'll get back to you later about it. And now I'd like to introduce Nadia Bushanov, who is our Advocacy and Events Director, and she will give you an update on housing and wage issues.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Jeannie, Ken, Dick, and Megan. I don't know if Megan is still on here, but yeah, I think I know everyone here, but if not, my name is Nadia Abushanov, and for the last year and a few months now, I've been working as the Advocacy and Events Director for SBCAN, and it's been a great time. So one of the primary issues that we've been working on have been housing and wages. So Megan talked a little bit about the hero pay that we were able to secure for the grocery workers in Santa Barbara City for a short period of time. And we've also worked on raising the minimum wage as throughout the county in various coalition efforts over the years. And it's still very much an issue for SBCAN across the county, not just in the city of Santa Barbara. And we've also spoken in favor of affordable housing projects throughout the county. There were 2 in Santa Maria in the last year about that. Those were the Centennial Gardens projects and then the People's Self-Help Housing Project at the Highway Drive-In. And I know some people here were also able to speak in support of those projects. So thank you so much. And of course, we continue to work on housing issues in the city of Santa Barbara, like the rent stabilization effort and getting involved with the housing update there as well. And the last thing I will say is that for the last 10 years, SBCAN has also led the Sustainable University Now, or SUN coalition. And recently SUN has been working with UCSB pressuring UCSB really to respond to our concerns about the lack of housing for students, as you all have, I'm sure, read in local news. And we're paying close attention to this issue, and especially to the Munger Hall that's been proposed and has received international attention and outcry from students, especially because of its windowless design and some other concerns. So these are just some quick updates on some of the issues SBCAN has been working on for the last 2 decades. And again, we're so grateful for the support of our members, who truly are the ones who make this work possible. And before I hand it back to Ken to do the election, I just wanted to make sure you all know that we'll be having our North County Awards dinner at the end of June. So hopefully it's in person this time. We don't have the location exactly set yet, but it will be on the evening of Sunday, June 26th. And to hear more updates about that, make sure that you're signed up for our email updates, and you'll get updates about all of the issues that we're working on. So that's it for me, and I'll hand it back to Ken.
Thanks, Nadia. It's been great having Nadia on board. It's been great having Jeannie on board. She's been here ever since before I got here. So it's a good team. We like working together. We meet every Monday morning at 11, and we have a good time and get ourselves organized. And with all our volunteers and all our members, I think we're doing really good work. And I've heard a lot of evidence of that today. So one thing that keeps us going is we've had a good, strong board. And our bylaws say that there's to be between 9 and 15 board members. Started out, it was up to 35. Well, that was unwieldy. And a few years ago, the board agreed to change it to 9 to 15. And so we have we have a board that has now, some terms are coming up on expiration, and they approved a slate unanimously at their last meeting. And so the slate is, there are 4 that are up for a new 3-year term, and that's Jaime Tinoco, Lawanda Lyons Pruitt, Carla Frisk, and Jonathan Aboud, who hopefully will join us any second now so he can join in the vote. And then 2 one-year terms, and that's Rebecca August and Rebecca Garcia. So the board unanimously proposes that slate. And if anybody has any questions or wants to hear a statement from any of them, but it's getting on in time. But if somebody wants to hear something, or if one of you who's here would like to say something, raise your hand, please. If not, I would look for a motion and a second.
Can I intervene here for a minute? I'd like to invite the people who are up for re-election to say something, not to make it incumbent upon them to raise their hands, but I think it'd be nice to hear from our board members who are up in this slate. And if they wouldn't mind, I've got reverse chronological order here, like maybe Lawanda could speak first. Lawanda, would you like to just say a couple of words about why you're on the board and why you'd like to continue?
Good morning, everyone. Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Lawanda Lyons Pruitt, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I've been on the board for the past 4 years or so. And one reason I'm on the board and I am seeking re-election is I enjoy the work. It's good work. I feel good about it. I'm a passionate person. The work that is being done is very passionate. For instance, the last hearing on the Planning Commission before the Board of Supervisors, that hearing, and Nadia and Ken presented. I mean, it just gave me such joy. And I was laughing at their presentation because it was so good. And it's just the type thing that we don't always, as progressives, we don't always get the results that we want. But working with SBCAN, I just really, really enjoy the passion. I enjoy working with all the other board members, Ken, Jeannie, Nadia, Dick, Janet, all of you guys. I just love it. And so I am happily wanting to continue on with the work that we're doing. And it also complements the NAACP as well, and our position on environmental justice.
Thank you very much, Lawanda. And actually, I meant to say reverse alphabetical order by last name. And the next person who I'd like to ask to speak is Rebecca August.
Hi, everyone. I have a lot of the same things to say that everybody's been saying. I really care about SBCAN and value it because of the unique intersectional work that we do and across the county, and also that these are all the issues that I care about, and the values that are my values. And I don't have to go to lots of places to work on these things. I can just serve on this board. And it's a really amazing group of people, super hardworking staff especially, but the board members too show up to meetings, they show up to hearings. And then the last thing is that it also really complements the work that I do. I work for Los Padres Forest Watch, and it really complements that work as well. So I'm thrilled and honored to have the opportunity to if you vote for me to serve on this board.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. I'm going to ask Jonathan Abboud to speak next. We do have 3 other members who couldn't be here, one who's out of the country and a couple others with conflict. So we couldn't have all of our candidates to speak, but I'd like to ask Jonathan to speak now.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry, I'm at work right now, but it's good to be here briefly. Like I said, put in the chat, we're at the retreat for the Ivy Community Services District, which was actually how I got involved with SBCAN. I had gotten a grant to work on creating this organization back in 2014 from the Fund for Santa Barbara. And Dick got me connected with SBCAN and Ken to be the fiscal sponsor. And the rest is history. So it's been a great time working with SBCAN for the last 5 years and being on the board. So I'm excited to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Now I'll turn it back to Ken to conduct the election.
And thank you, Jeannie Sparks. I'm always thinking about, I'm looking at the clock, hurry up, I gotta hurry up. And Jeannie, she knows, she's been here longer than me. She's got a great sense for what we ought to do next. And that's what we needed to do next, was have the 3 of you speak up and say your little piece. I really like
Ken,
it.
do you need a motion now?
I do, thank you very much.
So I'd like to move the election of the slate as offered to the membership.
Thank you, Lee. Is there a second? Thank you, Pam. And so moved and seconded to approve the slate as I outlined. All in favor, please raise your hand. And is there anybody opposed? Raise your hand, Rebecca August.
Don't have a raise it for opposed.
I need your vote because we have to have 20, and we do have 20. We have a quorum. Was there any opposition? Is there anybody abstaining? Not hearing any. We do have a little over 20, at least 22, and we need 20 for a quorum. And so under our bylaws, we thank you very much for sticking with us till the end of the meeting. And we have a little bit of more time. So congratulations. At the next board meeting, which will be at the end of the month, the board will decide who are to be the officers. And right now, we do have some time for any comments or questions from board members or members. And so Jonathan has his hand up, and then Dick.
Oh, sorry, my hand is not supposed to be up.
Okay, well, thanks, and congratulations on your re-election. And Dick, do you have?
You're muted, Dick.
I'll take the floor whenever I'm asked. I love to take the floor.
Please take the floor.
I have the closing. I'm assigned the closing remarks, but I just want to say how proud I am that we have the enthusiastic willingness of these very busy folks to continue to serve on the board. And that's why I was being so excited earlier. And the work that Lawanda has done with the NAACP and that Rebecca's done with the Forest Watch. And Jonathan, I think we're really proud of the democracy that has come, the self-government that's come to Isla Vista, that we were able to give some help to, and have him as an ally and partner has been great. So I just want to, and the other board members who are not here, they don't need my compliments because they can't hear it. And I don't remember their names. Anyway, but Janet Blevins is the co-chair, and Janet has had some, I think, serious health problems. I think she's not here, I guess, but she was hoping to at least be able to say something. And I think we all keep reconveying our hope for her full restoration to leadership as soon as it's possible for that to happen. Anyway, is Lee's hand up? You want to talk, Lee? That'd be great.
Lee's hand is up, and this is just very brief. I just wanted to say thank you to SBCAN. I've been a member for at least 12 years now. I'm on the board of the Environmental Defense Center, and SBCAN is almost always one of our clients on our cases. because EDC doesn't generally take action unless we have a client. And SBCAN is more than just a client. You're a partner, right? EDC does what it does in consultation and collaboration, and then you bring all these people to the table separately. So it's the kind of true collaboration that I think makes us so strong as a community, and I wanted to express my appreciation for that.
I'm glad that you did that, Lee, because I was thinking of pointing out there are several organizations that we work in close partnership with that are more powerful in a way than we do and have very special capacities, and that includes EDC. Ken had suggested to the board some years ago that we designate as part of our budget a legal category, and that isn't for lawyers to help SBCAN, it's for partnering with lawyers who are fighting in the courts for the values that we're trying to achieve. So we actually have that as part of our program to be the kind of partner that Lee is mentioning, and I think I'm very glad that that's the case. And we also, I see Stanley's hand up, so I wanted to say, CAUSE is an organization that we really need to have centrally in this community, and their leadership is something that we respond to and try to support and ally with. And Stanley, what did you want to say about anything?
I just to Lee's building off of Lee's point, I think, you know, and at CAUSE, there's so many connections between SBCAN and CAUSE, more than even some that I learned today. And so I really appreciate the role that you all play in kind of connecting community advocates, activists, organizers with the work that we do and support it and are a part of it, help guide it. And then just switching hats in my free time at the Tenants Union, SBCAN has been a really great, insightful partner in policy advocacy, and the work that you've done, Dick, to convene folks. I know Linda's on here, and certainly Nadia. It's been a really good resource for us as we've been trying to grow our organization. So yeah, thanks for the niche and important role you play.
I'm very glad you mentioned Linda Honigman. She's become a very staunch leader in the community and expert on the housing crisis and following so many issues. It's highly complex, as many issues are, but she's been able to track so much. And so she's built a force within the League of Women Voters on housing issues. And so that's another group that we consider to be in close alliance with. Vijaya is here too, stepping down as I guess, chair of the local chapter. And I wanted to add that the Local 770 of the Food and Commercial Workers Union has been a staunch ally of ours. They've contributed funding to SBCAN as well as the candidates that we are happy to have supported. And why we got involved with the hero pay issue is precisely in a kind of reciprocal relationship with Local 770. It's a local that represents grocery workers from Santa Barbara all the way down to Los Angeles. And it's one of the large labor locals in the state of California. And I bring them forward because they're about to take a strike vote. Their contract in Vons and Albertsons and Kroger's, Ralph's, is expired, and they are trying to win. They're trying to simply win a living wage and safety provisions, and of course the employers so far have been recalcitrant. I'm sure they're hoping not to have to do a strike, but they're right now really seeking support, even on social media. So I think we'll be letting people know how they can lend support, which is crucial for the lifeblood of the union and for these workers to have public support, customer support for their efforts. So we're you know, I think it's very important, gratifying to have these relationships developed. I think never in my life of activism has so much of that coalition and alliance been happening, and we need it. So maybe is there more than anyone wants to say? before we move?
I'd like to add something now.
Thank you.
We are at 1:03 and we had billed this as an hour, but if anyone needs to go, we understand you going. But if you'd like to stay around, there's a couple more things that we might want to talk about. One is just to encourage you to become a member of SBCAN if you're not already one. And you can just go to sbcan.org and click on the membership tab. I'm also looking at the chat, and I'd like to ask Sarah to say something. She's the leader of the Central Coast Region of Poor People's Campaign. She put in the chat, she wants to know how she can partner with us. So I'd like to ask her how we might be able to help her. And let's talk about some connections. We also might want to have Jean Michael say something too. So go ahead, Sarah, if you'd like to say something.
Hi, guys. As many of you know, I wear many hats, and I don't have them on today, but you know, they're all at home, people. I'm trying to leave them at home, but I'm in the headquarters because this is where my internet is. The internet I use is not mine. Anyway, I am, besides being the newly elected president of the Democratic Club of Santa Maria Valley, I am also one of the people who's on the steering committee of the new Central Coast region of the California Poor People's Campaign. And we are really excited to announce that in two places, in Santa Barbara and in Santa Maria, on April 4th, we will be having the public readings of the Beyond Vietnam speech of Martin Luther King. And if you're interested, let me know. I put my information in the chat. And the reason why we do this is on April 4th is not only the year before he was assassinated on April 4th at the Riverside Church in New York, he gave the famous Beyond Vietnam speech, A Time to Break Silence. A year later, on April 4th, he was assassinated. And we're hoping to get over 55 separate readings of this speech in California and beyond. And we're hoping to get it done by 6:04. I'm not sure if it's our time, Eastern time, but 6:04 p.m. because that is when the medical person in ER declared him dead. Declared Martin Luther King. And so that is one of the most important thing. And we're heading up to do a wonderful more tour stop in LA on May 16th. And then I'm hoping and I'm praying that I will be in that number on June 18th, 2022 to do the Moral March on Washington as an impacted person. I don't know about you, but I'm an impacted person who is on Medi-Cal, gets a California Lifeline phone, and have SNAP. And so I know what it's like to be a low-wage and person who lives below the poverty line, but I'm in leadership, people, and I'm planning to go help mobilize, organize, register, empower, educate, and engage a moral movement that votes. And you guys can help me by let's get out the vote, people, and let's vote, let's register as many as we can. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sarah. If you would send the information about your event, we can send it out to our email list. And hopefully we can get people involved in doing what you're doing. So that sounds very exciting. I'd like to be part of that myself.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to ask Jean Michaels if he'd like to say something. You posted a couple of things in the chat, and would you like to say those out loud to everybody?
I'm better at putting things in text than speaking them. So I usually like to just be in the background and listen to what everybody else has to say, and then see where I can help on common causes and in collaboration. So I pretty much posted everything that I would talk about. So take a
Okay,
look at it.
so it looks like your organization is called Helping Those in Need, and you have a 35,000 plus membership list, and you're willing to post anything to that to help fight poverty and homelessness.
That's true.
Okay, that sounds really great. So
But I want you to know that I've spent about 60 hours a week for the last 3 years building that list. It's not easy to build a list that large. And most of those people are from Santa Barbara County. So there's a lot of influence there that I'm able to wield nowadays. So I'm really happy on what I've been able to accomplish so far. And I hope that I can get more help fighting poverty and homelessness in the county. Thank you.
well,
And-
that was, go ahead.
As I mentioned earlier, I keep getting bounce back when we send stuff to you, Jean Michaels. So we'll make sure we've got that squared away. But apparently you got this message. You're here with us. I'm glad you are. Thank you.
Yeah, and he's posted jean@jeanmichaels.com as his email address. So we'll make sure that's what we have in our database.
So Jeannie, I was suggesting that Harold Hill might want to say a few words. He's been leading in our area this somewhat under the radar campaign for public banking in California. And he actually had put in the chat a message for Meagan. The city council should support that. So, Harold, do you want to, you're a stalwart member, and that's an activity that you're uniquely involved in.
Well, Dick, thank you for the honor of recognizing me. The People for Public Banking Central Coast for some time has been putting together the information that we need to form the Central Coast Public Bank. The latest development is that we have talked to the city of Watsonville about the possibility of them writing the request for proposals for a study to determine the viability of forming the bank. Unfortunately, the city of Santa Cruz hired the city manager away from Watsonville, which has slowed down the process. And so we are now in the process of going back to Santa Cruz and seeing if they would like to pick up the gamut and issue the request for proposals. So we'll keep you informed on how things develop, and we appreciate all of the help and support that you're able to give us.
Well, Harold has educated us on how a public bank can be a key part of reaching some capacity to finance things like affordable housing and other kinds of needs for capital that the private banking system is averse to put it mildly. So thank you, Harold, for those efforts and for keeping us informed and letting us know what to do in support. So, hey, anyone else? This has been inspiring for me, I hope for you, and so glad that you all could be here and that we can all touch each other, at least in this remote fashion. I hope the world survives as long as and that we can turn some things around. I do believe that local struggle is part of the global mosaic, and that's part of what SBCAN principles are. So I'm so proud that we're all contributing what we can. Is that a good way to say goodbye? Hang in there, guys.
I think so.
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Dick,
Yeah.
I just want to say, had SBCAN been discovered in your living room 500 years ago, dinosaurs would still exist. That's how
Well,
great.
that's an interesting.
Well,
I
and that's
never
what
thought of it.
that's my thought on SBCAN and
Well,
the
some of
work
us,
that we do.
some of us feel very dinosauric, so maybe
Thank you,
maybe it
Dick.
worked. All right, dears. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Well, thank you all for coming.
Everybody.